All right, what's going on, everyone? Today we have the 3060. This is a card that I purchased used for about 275 bucks. So if you're in the market for a budget option, this is kind of the one to go for, especially if you're at 1080p. So we're going to be putting it through the paces here today with Black Myth Wukong at 1080p. We'll focus only on 1080p for this test, and then we're just going to go through some of the settings. We're going to use the TSR method so that it will allow us to use frame generation. Unfortunately, DLSS does not allow you to use frame generation on this on the 30 series cards for whatever reason. But anyway, we're going to get around that by just using TSR. It looks almost as good, just as good in my opinion anyway. So we're just going to jump into it. All right, so we're at 77 FPS here. We are at low presets. The textures leave a lot to be desired, but we're around 83 FPS. We're utilizing 6.1 gigs and allocating 8.7 or 7.7. Let's just jump over here, and going from the graphics preset of low to medium is a big jump. It's probably the biggest jump of all the different presets because it gives you a lot more texture detail. I'm still over 67 FPS, and just a note on this particular game, you want to try to run it at a native resolution. If you try to run it at 1080p on a 4K monitor, just the way it works, it will try to run that title at 4K. It's just a quirk. So right now, I'm on a native 1080p monitor, and just to get the most accurate results, just something that I experienced when I was setting this test up. So anyway, so 65 FPS, allocating about 8 gigs. All right, so looking really good though. I mean, we haven't even upscaled yet, and we haven't even turned on frame generation. So once we do that, I think we're going to have a really nice experience. Frame generation works great, and from what I've been able to tell, ray tracing just crashes the whole thing over and over. So I'm not going to be messing with ray tracing today. This is about the third take on this video because ray tracing just kept failing to allow the game to run properly for whatever reason. The good thing is this title doesn't really need ray tracing. It looks, arguably just as good without it. I think that they just really made a beautiful title all around. So anyway, I digress. Let's jump into the next setting here. If you want to have just a peek up top, there's going to be a black bar that's going to give all the major settings as you scroll through these. So this kind of where our breaking point is on high, at least at native. We're at 47 FPS, so when I call it a breaking point, I just mean anything that makes it consistently fall under 60 FPS. All right, so let's just keep looking at the rest of these settings here. I'm going to go to this cave up here. I think there might be some enemies up there. I'm not sure. This kind of opens up later on in the game, so hopefully there's no spoilers. All right, so yeah, 48, 50 FPS here. So let's just jump over and hit up the next level. We're going to go through all these and then kind of figure out what like a nice recommended base setting would be. We're going to have to use some upscaling for sure, especially if we want to get closer and closer to that cinematic. So at very high, we're at 31 FPS. Now bear in mind, we don't have any upscaling enabled right now, and we're not using any frame generation, so don't be scared off by these numbers quite yet. This will be a lot better, and it'll still retain a lot of that visual fidelity that this game, just really, it's a beautiful game. You don't want to give up too much. All right, so with that said, let's just see what cinematic does. Again, this is totally native, so this would not be a realistic experience. I just want to see what this card can do at a native cinematic, full HD experience here. And we're at 22 FPS, 21 FPS. Like, it's pretty telling, though. I mean, this is a newer title, and this is an older GPU, and it's still, managing to keep up, for the most part, up until that high preset. But let's just come over here and turn on some upscaling, because that's going to help our numbers out considerably. And right now, let's just jump over here and go into graphics, and we're going to turn this down to 67. That is a quality preset, and we're going to turn that on. So I haven't done anything. We're still on cinematic. So we're on 21 FPS, and that's going to give us up to about 34. So that tells me that we're going to have to either use more DLSS, which I don't really want to do, because at 1080p, going past quality starts to really degrade the image beyond what I'm willing to kind of accept. It just starts to look a little fuzzy, and I would rather just turn down some of my presets. to get this number back up a little bit. This game looks extremely good at medium. So let's just see what medium does with this upscale. And then maybe we could look at, jumping up a little bit further if it's just like way over 60, but I just want to see if I can get to the right tab. All right, so let's just come over here and let's try out that medium. Low is just something I want to avoid. It looks pretty terrible. All right, so that gives us 76 FPS on a medium preset. And I mean, look, it still looks very good. You don't have to absolutely max every game out that you play. Just get yourself a good, stable frame rate. That's really the most important thing. You don't want to play anything that's like stuttery. You just want to play something. You want to play. I'd rather have smoothness and a sharp image than some crazy high, visual detail any day. So anyway, yeah, 83 FPS. Now we could definitely go up a little bit. This is kind of like how I like to test, is just kind of find these different thresholds and then find out where we can go from there. This constantly moves, and I'm not doing it. It's just a quirk in the game. Okay, I don't know why they do that, but sorry to cut there. It took me forever to figure out I could just use the arrows. All right, so no frame generation yet. So let's go up to high, and let's see what that does, if it can retain an over 60 FPS experience. So we're right there at it. Okay, so that kind of tells me that this is where we need to probably frame generate from. We've squeezed this orange as much as we can. All right, so the good thing is that high looks exceptionally good. I mean, this is a nice looking game at 1080p on high settings with a little bit of upscaling. Again, I don't like to go down to performance. It starts to look kind of blurry. But in our case, to go any higher on these presets, we're going to have to do that. So let's jump over and turn on the next level of preset, and let's go down to 50. I need to use my arrow keys to do that. All right, and go to very high. So very high, 50% upscale, and there you go. You're still not over 60. So that's kind of where this is starting to fall apart, in my opinion, because I don't want to go up anymore on my DLSS for sure. It's starting to look a little blurry, and anything further up on a preset is definitely going to make the experience worse. So I kind of think the best way to upscale would be to come back to the 70 or 67. Let me use my arrow key so I can actually get it right. The 67, and then go back to high and apply that. Again, this is no frame generation. So I just want to double check and confirm. Yep, this was our 60 FPS threshold setting of what we were visually, willing to accept, as well as the performance that we're wanting to frame generate from. So we're almost 60 most of the time, so this is a good spot to frame generate at. So I'm just going to come over here and kick on some of that frame gen. Again, the Chinese character here, this means on. Kind of remember it because it looks like a little bit of an O, and that means on in English, so just a little visual clue there. All right, so we're going to frame generate from high with a super resolution of 67. Quit moving on me, please. All right. And let's see what that does. All right, so that gives us 93 FPS, and that is a really good experience. Now, again, I've tried ray tracing. Unfortunately, it's just not in the cards for this title on this game, on this card. It does not work. It crashes pretty frequently. It seems to have just way too much of a demand on the older RT cores in this card. So take that into consideration too. Ray tracing wasn't as far along as it is now back when the 30 series released. So it's kind of expected that these older cards aren't going to be able to really handle ray tracing like a newer card would. But there you go, folks. I mean, this is a nice way to play it. High settings with a quality upscale with frame generation on the TSR method. Yeah, I mean, this is easily doable on 1080p, which is probably the target that you're going for if you're looking at a card in this budget, in this price range. So anyway, with that said, if you like my content, please give me a thumbs up. If you are subscribed already, thank you for coming back. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Please, thank you. And we will see you in the very next one. Thank you. Bye-bye.